everyone, welcome back to another new edition of Windows on Current Affairs, and today we talk about tourism. Of course, as now we're becoming familiar with the pandemic, things are going on its normal course, and Egypt in particular is far more better than other countries, even developed countries, and the cases registered aren't as much as in other countries, and that's why life in Egypt is going on its normal course with the precautionary measures, of course, and tourism have taken a went into a totally whole level, which is the digital tourism, the special programs and set up plans that are suitable for this particular phase in our lives, just like everything else. Today we're going to be talking about the different campaigns by the Ministry of Tourism and by also some that are available in the tourism market. Marketing tourism in general. In particular, there are a number of different campaigns that are taking place right now. Egypt is calling you, come to Egypt, make it here. We're talking about your vacation in Egypt, and a lot of other programs, touristic programs that are set for different tourists that are thinking to spend their vacations here in Egypt. And we're very delighted to be having with us here live in the studio Mr. Alaa Khalifa, and he's a tourism marketing expert, and he's going to be talking to us as usual his valuable input about marketing tourism. Good evening, Mr. Khalifa.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
It's nice to see you again.
Same here. Let us first talk about the situation in general. Situation is worldwide almost the same. Let me tell you that this pandemic have made out of the globe or the world like one family or one single country, because of the common situation and the common challenges and the sufferings, and of course there are differences, but this is a very unique case and won't be repeated.
It is an experience that I hope it doesn't happen again. This experience have damaged a lot, many economies in the world today. We've got countries that have been badly hit throughout the beginning of the pandemic, and we've got other countries that really have had a traumatic impact of the rising number of infected people with the virus. The worst part of the virus was that you were facing something that it's unseen before. Something that we have seen since 1918, since the Spanish flu. It was something that we didn't know a cure of, and it spread out to 211 countries, and it damaged everything. Economies, it damaged trade, it made countries to close on each other, and even damaged relationship between countries. Healthcare has been badly damaged, and of course the casualties and the fatalities out of this virus. It's something very tragic, but it gave an alert to the rest of the world to be ready next time. So next time I think the rest of the world will be ready. It's something that people are not going to take things lightly, and I think by the advances
they learned the lessons.
They've learned, of course, the lessons, and by the advance of bringing out more vaccines and more vaccine production, I think the world is going to have a slow recovery. So before COVID-19, we've had a normal life. There were things that scientists have given us a warning before of such a pandemic that could happen again. Is this scenario? Some people predicted the scenario, but we didn't really put the right precautions. And mid the pandemic, now we've learned a hard lesson that we have to take the right measures in order to prevent this from spreading out to other parts of the society. And we created a first norm, and then we created a second norm after a few months, and then a third norm, and now after the vaccine there is a fourth norm. And even after the vaccine has been administered to most of the countries in the world, there will be a fifth norm. So there will be a way to describe life post COVID-19 totally different than before COVID-19. What I think is that what we're talking about is the tourism industry right now. It had been badly damaged. You're talking about a loss of 191 million jobs worldwide. You're talking about loss of 5.5 trillion US dollar, which is nearly half or 5% of the revenue that I used to be gathered from tourism. We used to have 1.4 billion tourists every year. The number dropped to 75% of people traveling. So you can imagine how this impacted on the tourism industry. And you can imagine how desperate countries waiting during the time of the lockdown to throughout the time of reopening, and then another lockdown, and then a third lockdown, and then again a first wave, second wave, third wave, and then mutation of the virus. All of this are conflicting bad and good news at the same time. Countries get a little bit of optimistic about reopening again, opening for international tourism, and then they close again, and then there's a second wave and a third wave, and so on and so forth. It made them quickly change their strategic planning. How we're going to be reopening again for tourism. So I think that's a big lesson to be learned, and I think we are going into a new norm where people will be more prepared next time.
That's true, but you've raised a very important point, or a phrase that we have to underline, which is we'll have a lot to say about when we describe this phase in our lives in the future, not in the near future, but in years to come. If you like to elaborate over that phrase, and how would you describe that particular phase as an expert when it comes to tourism?
Commotion.
Humanly speaking, as a human being.
It's a commotion. This is how I would like to phrase it. It's a panic. It's fear, commotion, fear of the unknown. It's a catastrophe for tourism industry worldwide, and it's good for digital tourism. It's good. It's accelerated technology and accelerated investment into technology related to travel industry. This impact all over the world have created a need to put second and third strategies in order to analyze behavior of travelers worldwide. 75% of the travelers, they don't want to travel because fear of catching the virus, because of negative news that they hear from certain and specific destinations. Airlines have lost a lot. As the airline industry has been slowed down dramatically. New airplanes are not being produced, and the slowdown in manufacturing new ones, and new routes have been closed, and combining routes together. The loss is dramatic. You're talking about 400 billion in US dollar in the first 6 months of the pandemic. Now it reached even 5.5 trillion by the end of this year. What I expect is that there will be a recovery, very significant signs of recovery, starting from the end of September. That's when a lot of countries around the world will reach the minimum requirements for a vaccination. Before, the norm was which countries are being protective to the citizens and putting the disease under control, which countries are doing a lot of PCR tests, which countries are doing quarantine, which countries are taking these measures. That was the norm. Now the new norm is which of these countries have administered the vaccine, which of these countries have given a large percentage of their citizens the vaccine. So the more administration on spreading the vaccine among your citizens, the more you will be selected as a favorite destination by a lot of travelers. There is an urge, a need to travel. A lot of people are start traveling. And if you look throughout the world into world map, and you will see a number of countries such as UK, US, and Germany, and now France is catching up, Spain, Greece. These were the countries where they were going to receive tourism, but also they're going to export tourism as well to a lot of countries, because their citizens are now more confident that no matter where they go, they will still be protected. They have been given the right vaccine, they will be protected, and there was a need to travel since almost 2 years, so it's about time to travel now. Marketers for international tourism will have to change the strategy. Before, we used to predict patterns of tourism based on previous years. Now there's nothing to predict because there are no analytics at this time. We need to have a different approach. We need to have a different strategy applied for post-COVID-19. We need to understand that DMOs are going to change the rules of the game. They're going to be more collaborative. They're going to do a lot of joint marketing contracts. They're going to engage stakeholders in the industry. They're not going to play the game alone. This is what's going to happen post-COVID-19. Choices of new products will be released, products based on the new norm. There will be also an expansion of the way how countries are going to sign up mutual treaties of what do we call safe travel corridors between countries. So countries are aligned together, and they were going to encourage regional tourism between them, cross-border tourism between them. And that's what we need to do in our region. So long-haul flights are no more going to be the favorite one. People are always going to be looking at the short-haul flights, 3 to 5 hours. That's the target. That's what DMOs are going to do for the next year. Things have changed. People are re-choosing and shuffling among partners, and strategies are shifting, and analytics are showing different trends, and we need to be prepared for this.
Let us talk about the campaigns that also have been modified or have been adjusted by the Ministry of Tourism, just like anywhere else in the world after COVID-19. They have been working according to the momentum. Like you have generously explained now, that things have been made in a way to be able to be
to meet the new norm,
to satisfy the needs of the new norm. There are several campaigns that were raised by the Ministry of Tourism, like Egypt is calling you, like come to Egypt, make it here, the vacation, I mean, just the slogan of make it here. I mean, campaigns like that. Talk to us about the idea behind those campaigns, and what are the changes that were introduced to those campaigns in order to be able to attract once again that type of tourists, because there is also a type of tourist by the COVID, which is a different type of tourist other than before. Let us first talk about the campaigns, and we talk again after that about the types of tourists that come over to Egypt.
First of all, destination marketing organizations, they have to come up with new strategies. Putting out a campaign that for a country to call out for tourism to come back, based on the fact that so many countries have closed down, or not necessarily they have locked down, There could be a country that is not on a lockdown situation, but they are not allowing international tourism to arrive because they don't want a mutation of the virus to come in. So other countries said, hey, I think we have enough vaccination in our country, and we think that there are safe countries to receive international tourism from. And that's what I mentioned in my last talk to you about the safe travel corridors. So what happens is that marketing agencies or destination marketing organizations are building out their strategies based on that, based on situations of other countries in terms of exporting tourism. So when we give out that message that we are reopened to tourism again, and we actually never closed, when we are giving a message out loud that Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh and soon Luxor and Aswan will be fully vaccinated, that's a very strong message that we're waiting for you, the right service, people are vaccinated, there's no need, no more panic, no more fear. You will be able to come to a place where 90% of its citizens are being vaccinated. I wish we can accelerate the percentage of vaccinated people on a daily basis. I wish we can use in 5-6 months from now, by the end of the year, we can use these statistics throughout the campaign, that we have a high percentage of vaccinated people, such as there are countries among us in the same region, not far from us, that vaccinated 90% of their citizens. Yes, they're a small population, but at least they have started early. We're waiting for more vaccines to come. We're going to vaccinate more and more people, and that will have a better impact on tourism. Calling out for people to come from regional areas, such as Arab countries, let me be very specific for this, was the right thing, is the right way of thinking, because people would understand your situation better than anyone else, and they would know, they would want to go out. Europe is not available right now. It is a golden opportunity for us to call out those travelers from the Gulf area to come to visit Egypt, because they can't get to Europe that easily. There is difficulty in getting the visa. There is difficulty in putting, I would say, obstacles, you know, in acquiring or getting these visas or entries. Some countries, they do quarantine for 10 days. Some other countries, they request a number of PCRs. Other countries request fully vaccinated people. Europe is only open internally among, each other for its different parts. So if you're a member of European Union, you still can be traveling among Europe, but if you're outside Europe, it'll be a little bit restricted, and there are some conditions have to be met. So we have a golden opportunity to invite those who are from North Africa, from the Gulf area, from the rest of Africa, from the rest of the world to come, especially for the flights that are taken up to 3 to 4 hours or 5 hours. I think that's the right opportunity. That's the reason why DMOs, or destination marketing organizations, have changed their strategy. Now there is more collaborations with local DMCs, encouraging the DMCs again to sell that destination. That's what they're doing. They're reaching out to destinations or reaching out to DMCs to sell their destination by doing joint marketing contracts. Going through these strategies can lead to minor campaigns that come in every now and then, such as Come to Egypt, such as Egypt Safe, such as, and so on and so forth. I think we are getting there slowly but surely, and I think as long as we have Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh have been vaccinated, we move now to Luxor and Aswan, and then soon Cairo, and then Alexandria. Some of these major cities are being well vaccinated. It gives a very strong message to the tourism industry worldwide.
Hopefully, inshallah. And let me just take a short break, and we'll come back to continue our discussion about tourism and marketing tourism, and setting plans, and which type of tourists would come to see our beautiful destination here. And we'll come back to you after this short break, so stay with us. Welcome back, and we're still talking about tourism and marketing tourism. How would be tourism taking its course in the middle of all what's happening, people between opening and closing, and between vaccinating the nations and taking the utmost precautionary measures and a lot of other elements. We're very delighted to still have with us here live in the studio Mr. Alaa Khalifa, and he is a tourism marketing expert. And we were talking about the different campaigns by the Ministry of Tourism. Of course, let me just, before we elaborate more over those campaigns, let me talk about the types of tourists, COVID-19 tourists. I mean, we totally perfectly knew by this time there would be a specific type of tourists coming over to Egypt. If it wasn't COVID-19, we knew as Egyptians that by this time of the year, it's this type of tourist. By Christmas time, it's that type of tourist. We knew that very well, the people in the medium.
Yes.
But right now, this has all changed.
Of course.
Let us all agree that COVID-19 have come to change things radically.
Of course.
Talking about changing the type of tourists, what are the COVID-19 tourists? I mean, are they totally different type of, other than those used
when
to
we
come
set
over before?
marketing strategies, normally when we put media campaign, our media plan campaign for marketing strategies, we run different types of analysis, and these analytical ways give us specific characteristics for the type of tourists we are expecting. And at the end, it leads us to what we call the travel persona. The travel persona that come to a specific destination. That travel persona in particular is
travel persona.
A travel persona that comes to a specific destination. We have to specify, we have to put out the different characters of that travel persona. When the COVID-19 pandemic took place, that travel persona dramatically changed because the priorities have changed, and they actually have shifted to new priorities. Now, a lot of these travel personas that come to specific type of destinations have also changed their priorities. Now people do not want to have over-tourism again. They don't want to have crowds. They want to have learning. They want to have discovery. They want to go for serenity. They want to go for open areas. They want to go for highly rated hygienic areas. They want to go to areas free of mutations. They want to go to areas that are giving them cultural experience. That's a very important thing. So when you have a good content, people like that content, whether that content could be cultural, could be historical, could be archaeological. That's what people come to you. So also these characteristics are based on demographics, are based on the generation, what boomers generation and baby boomers generations and millennial generations are quite different than what they need than Generation Z and Generation X. So this is the reason why when we set up a destination marketing campaign, we defragment this campaign into how to reach out a specific custom audience that are fitted into each generation, and then meet the requirements of this generation based on the norm of the period we were going through. Before, we used to analyze this travel persona based on a specific analytics from the needs of this type of tourist. Now, because the priorities have changed, because the needs have changed, because characteristics have changed, demographics have changed, we have to reshuffle the entire strategy and build a new one that are able to meet with what people need post-COVID-19. What they need hygiene, they need to learn that this place is quite safe, well vaccinated, and they need learning, they need discovery, they need a getaway, they need serenity, tranquility. That's what they need. So we have to provide this in creating new travel products to them. I think travelers post-COVID-19 are brave, vaccinated. I don't think someone who will not be vaccinated will be able to travel. That's the reason why they are creating digital passports right now for vaccinated people. I think they are more attached into digital news. They read more about the news. They are more engaged into these news. So if I am a destination marketing agency, I would do a lot of affiliate marketing. I would focus 50% of my marketing campaign on affiliate marketing. That's the most important thing right now. Joint marketing campaigns, the most important thing. We need to get people to work for us. We need to get stakeholders to engage with us. We need to engage private sectors. We need to engage different NGOs. We need to engage culture into this. We have to get people, society, to work on a type of sustainable tourism industry. A tourism industry that sustain the local and benefit the local economy, because that's what tourists like. That's how they want to get engaged for the period post-COVID-19.
And again, we're going to be going to a short break. Are we ready for the short break? We're going to be going to a short break and come back again to you. So stay with us. Welcome back, and we're still on with our program and the marketing tourism, and our dear guest, Mr. Alaa Khalifa, and he's a marketing tourism expert. And we were talking about that particular magical, daring tourist who would leave his house.
The very rare tourist.
With the precautionary measures. At the same time, he's confident. And he is also challenging and taking risks, because no matter I would tell you that I am taking my precautionary measures, it's better staying home.
Yes.
But that type of tourist, he preferred to take his risks, to spend some time at the beach or see that beautiful destination, or go to that temple, or go here or there, to avoid the risks. Let me put it that way.
This is the reason why they call it a norm in the first place. Because we have a situation where we don't like, and then we get used to it. And so it becomes a norm. And that's why we call it a norm. And then a situation fluctuates and it changes. Then we move to a second norm. And then a few months later, a situation changes throughout, whether coming out of a vaccine or a medication or a drug or whatever, and then it becomes a third norm where things become a little bit more stable. So what we do as human beings is that we reshuffle our priorities all the time. On the other hand, countries want to magnet, or they want to attract travelers. And that's why they do these measures, creating safe travel corridors between countries. Sometimes they create what we call the travel bubble, a bubble between a number of countries together, so there people can move between these countries and benefit,
which is wise enough.
International tourism. So by keeping that bubble, at least they know that they don't have any other major catastrophes, and it's not going to damage their healthcare system. In this regard, one more time, we have to understand that people right now are looking into learning and discovery. They don't look into mass tourism, not anymore. I believe that people are going to change the way how they request, how they demand their type of traveling. Traveling will be focused on a specific regions around the world, and it will attract a type of tourist totally different than the ones we have before. I believe that cheap tourism are going to be less existent, and mass tourism is going to be less existent. And I think that's why destination marketing campaign, they need to audit their marketing strategies one more time, put into it the current situation, analyze the situation very well, put the right output in order to predict what is coming and how to quickly shift to alternative methods in order to attract that daring tourists that you're talking about.
On that note, we're going to be ending it here because it's very optimistic. Hopefully, in the middle of all what's happening, Mr. Alaa Khalifa, you are a tourism, you're very welcomed. You're a tourism marketing expert, and thank you so much for coming to Windows and Current Affairs. You have the best of luck. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows and Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.